Hey everyone, and welcome back to MMA Alerts. Let's start the day with Daniel Cormier's response to what Colby Covington said. Colby Covington recently made it clear that he no longer wants to meet fellow Irish fighter Ian Garry, who has never lost. Covington said he would rather fight Belal Muhammad instead because he thinks Muhammad is sitting on his rank instead of fighting. Fans in the mixed martial arts MMA community were angry about Covington's words. They wondered why he was criticizing Muhammad, who has been training hard to get a title shot, while Covington took almost 2 years off. A few days ago, Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier responded to Covington's latest call-out in a video for his YouTube account. Colby Covington said he thinks Belal Muhammad is happy with his level of play and that he doesn't deserve to fight for the title. Hey everyone, I love Colby. Colby, I think you're cool, but come on. Because of how he lost to Leon Edwards, Colby can't say or try to decide who gets a title fight right now, and it looks like he doesn't want to fight Ian Garry. He might want to take a step back and not say much until he gets into another fight. I don't understand why people are afraid to fight Ian Garry for Colby Covington. It's possible that he just doesn't want to fight back in the polls, but he should know that's pretty much what he's going to get right now. A fight with Muhammad is not likely to happen because the streaking candidate is set to fight for the welterweight title this summer in Manchester. However, there are many fighters who want to fight the former interim champion. Next, let's look at UFC tactics get exposed by fighter Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who used to be the UFC flyweight champion, has been very open about his time with the organization lately. This past week, Johnson talked about how much he made from being on the cover of a magazine and from being in different EA Sports UFC video games. Now, Johnson is blowing the whistle on the UFC's secret pay system, in which fighters were paid for getting more followers on social media. On a recent episode of his Mighty Cast, Johnson talked with fellow UFC veteran Chael Sonnen about the unique bonus system and how it worked. When Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook first came out, I talked to the UFC about. He would take us to UFC Fighter Summit and tell us, you guys need to build your brand. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, so I did, and so on. The more people who want to see you fight, the more money you'll make because you'll need money to train for your points, etc. As a champion, you should become a partner. I've already made a movie about that, but he was very good at that, and the UFC was very good at it too. Yes, you will see in your computers, and then they will give you a sentence. I believe there were rewards every 3 months. The person with the most visitors to their site would get $25,000, then $12,000, then $5,000, and finally maybe $1,000. They gave us a lot of reasons to brag about the fights and talk about them. They did it over and over again for what seemed like a year or two. The UFC may or may not keep doing this, but it's not clear from what I can tell. Which still has this bonus method in place. There are, however, more and more fighters on the roster, like Alaine Sterling and Sean Strickland, who have started famous YouTube channels. This seems to have sent the message that building a personal brand is important. Finally, let us look at a video where Alaine Sterling makes a strong point. When it was reported last year that Alaine Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley would be fighting for the title, there was a lot of talk about how quickly Sterling had to prepare for the fight after his UFC 288 win over Henry Cejudo. Even though he defended his title in May, Sterling was back in the ring just over 3 months later and lost to Sean O'Malley in the second round. The ex-champion has said since then that the short turnaround was a big reason why he lost. The former champion was upset that there was never a rematch. Sterling then moved up to 145 pounds so that his longtime friend and teammate Merab Dvalishvili could fight for the title. Sterling was so sure that he and O'Malley could fix things that he would bet his life savings on it in a recent talk with Campaign Media. My shins were so hurt that I had to miss my fight with Henry Cejudo for a month. But Sean's ribs were broken. Before training camp, he didn't have any broken ribs. Before his fight with Jan, the guy had 10 months off to train for either me or Henry Cejudo. He beat Jan so he could relax and wait like a winner. Then I was told, as the champion, you need to lose all that weight again. Once more, O'Malley showed up that night while I was having a bad one. That night, the better man won. But I do know that if I got a second chance and he waited until March to fight Cheeto, you would give me time to rest, get ready, and cut my weight the right way for a second chance. I'd put all of my money on that. But some people will say, I'm still salty. I'm telling you, skills are skills and facts are facts. We could do this all day if I sat there and cut legs off like I did in the first round. But I believe O'Malley is getting better all around. But I believe that both he and I are very good at what we do. It's easy for me to stop people from doing what they want. It doesn't look like Sterling and O'Malley will fight again because Sterling can now fight a top-ranked rival at 145 pounds after beating Calvin Kattar at UFC 300. Next, let us look at UFC Fight news. Before we look at this weekend's Fight Night, Barboza vs. Murphy card, let's look at today's UFC Fight updates. The first is a featherweight fight at UFC Vegas 93 on June 15th between Shyline Nerdembeki and Melchizio Costa. Nerdembeki will be trying to get back on track after losing to Steve Garcia by TKO in April. And on the other hand, Costa wants to get back on track after losing to Garcia in December. Cody Brundage and Abdul Razak Alabama Hassan will fight in a middleweight match the following month. The fight has been added to an unnamed show for July 13th that is set to take place in Denver. Brundage will be trying to get back on track after losing to Bo Nicol at UFC 300. On the other hand, Al Hassan will be trying to get back on track after losing by submission to Joe Pfeiffer in October. The next week, on July 20th, 2 new fights have been added to the UFC Vegas 94 card. Luana Carolina and Lucy Pudilova will fight at flyweight, and Brad Tavares and Jun Young Park will fight at middleweight. Carolina wants to add to her 2-fight win streak, the most recent of which was her decision win over Julia Stoliarenko in February. On the other hand, Pudilova wants to end her 2-fight losing streak that began in 2023. In the Tavares vs. Park fight, Tavares will be trying to get back on track after losing to Gregory Rodriguez in February, and Park will be trying to get back on track after losing to Andre Munoz in December. Recent news about fights includes the fact that Shauna Bannon and Javina Oliveira are set to meet at UFC 304 in Manchester on July 27th at strawweight. Both women will be trying to get their first wins in the cage. Bannon is coming off a loss by decision to Bruna Brazil in July, while Oliveira is trying to get back on track after losing to Tainara Lisboa in October. Next, let us look at Merab Dvalishvili shares sad news. Last week, shocking video footage of bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili emerged. In it, he said that he was riding in a Tesla that was involved in an accident. The machine said that he was in New York and riding in an Uber when the accident happened. Luckily, Dvalishvili said he was okay in the video that was shared on social media after the accident. More knowledge about what happened besides what Dvalishvili said has been hard to come by so far. But as many people in the MMA community quickly pointed out, the most important thing is that no one looked like they were badly hurt. Considering that the rising candidate wasn't hurt in the crash, it doesn't look like it will affect his possible title fight against Sean O'Malley later this year, which is set to be happening at the Noche UFC event in the Sphere in September. Let's change the subject and watch Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight. There is no chance that Jake Paul and Nate Diaz will fight again, but it looks like they still like each other. Diaz is set to fight Joaquim Masvidal in early July, and Paul is set to fight Mike Tyson later that same month. Both fighters have started adding each other on social media before their fights. Vasily Lomachenko beat George Kambozo Jr. by TKO this past weekend, and Diaz said that the Ukrainian star beat up Devin Haney pretty badly in their May 2023 fight, which Lomachenko lost by decision. Lomachenko also fucked up Haney, as Diaz wrote. To which Jake Paul answered, just try not to get F-ked up by that little snake who works for Dana. After reading that, Diaz wrote back, let's go Mike, referring to Paul's upcoming fight with the former heavyweight champion. Paul hasn't replied yet because he is now in New York City for a press meeting about his upcoming fight with Tyson. This week, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are also going to hold another press meeting. At this one, the influencer might be asked about his online fight with Nate Diaz. MMA fans make fun of Dana White for announcing new fights. Dana tweeted,
what's up, everybody? UFC 304 from the co-op.
Going up against Belal Muhammad. Leon is 161 and hasn't lost in 13 fights. Belal Muhammad is 101 and hasn't lost in 10 fights. Heavyweight winner Tom Aspinall will be the co-main event. Curtis Blades will be his opponent. Aspinall hurt his knee in the first fight 2 years ago, and this is the repeat. Aspinall has won 14 times, and all but one of them were by finish. He is going up against Curtis Blades, who just stopped Jalton Almeida from getting stronger at UFC 299. Bobby Green vs. Paddy Pimblett was also on the card. Both fighters asked for this fight, so we gave it to them. Ohaya vs. Manuel Cap, these two don't like each other, and Arnold Allen vs. Giga Chikadze is a great battle. That's all there is to it, folks. We're going back to Manchester,
England. The crowd is incredible. Brand new arena. See you soon. If you don't know, now you know.